Hello! Today for our Fun Friday activity, we're going to be making your own paint. So for this activity, all you're going to need is flour, salt, water, and hopefully you have some kind of food coloring so that you can change the color of your paint and you're not having to paint white. But if you do have to paint white, you can just use a black piece of paper. So to make your own paint, first we need a container to make your paint in. It can be a bowl, it can be a jar, I have a measuring cup, it doesn't really matter, as long as it's big enough to mix in. And I have measured out 200 milliliters of flour. So if you see the 200 line, it looks a little bit lower than that, but that's just because it moved a bit. It's right around there when I checked last time. So I'm going to pour it into my measuring cup, or whatever you're using, your bowl. Dump it in there. Then I'm going to mix in my 80 milliliters of salt. In Canada, we use milliliters because it's the metric system of measuring. We use milliliters. So here, it's a little bit more. It's more like a 90 milliliter measuring cup. So I put a little bit less in there. It's just paint. It doesn't matter if it tastes good. So I think it's going to work out. Dump my salt in. It's just regular salt that you would use at the table. It's not very big. It's just a little salt. I'm going to mix it up. I have a whisk here I'm using to mix it up. A whisk helps get them mixed perfectly and evenly throughout. If you use a spoon, that's perfect, that's fine, or a fork, but you might just need to mix it a little bit longer. I can do this with my whisk and be done. After that, you just have to add water until the paint gets to the right consistency. And consistency means how liquidy or how kind of thick you want it to be. So I have some water in here. I might need to go get more. I don't really know. It just said add some water. So I'm going to take my flour mixture and I'm only going to add a little bit at a time. I can always add more water, but I can't take water out once I've already put it in. So I'm going to put a little extra in to start. And then after I do this, I'm only going to add little bits at a time. So I'm going to mix with my whisk. Oh, look how clumpy it still is. I need lots more water. I'll pour some more in. And I'll mix that up. Oh, it's getting a little liquidier. But, ooh, now it's kind of sticky and gloopy. See that? I still don't want to paint with that. So I'm going to add the rest of what I have here, and then I might go get some more. Mix it all up. You want to make sure, mine looks a little clumpy right now. I don't know if you can see that. It's clumpy. You don't want to paint with clumps. So I'm going to mix, try and mix my clumps out. And I think I just need a little bit more water, and that'll be the right consistency, the right amount of water to other ingredients, the right thickness. Now mix. And you kind of want it the same like we had paint at school. So it's not super liquidy. You don't want it to look like water. I want to be able to move it around, but this is still too thick. It's still too gloopy. So I'm going to go get more water. Okay, I got some more water. So I'm going to pour a little bit more in my bowl. It's almost the right consistency though. So you want to add less and less water as you get closer and closer to the right feeling of paint. So I'm going to mix it up. Oh, look at it now. See how drippy it is now? I think we're getting close. I'm going to try, I still have a couple clumps in here. I'm going to try and get them out. Mix. And then I think that that's looking good. So what I'm going to do, over here, what I have is I have an egg carton because I want to make a couple different colors of paint. And an egg carton, you don't need to use this, but it has a lot of little different sections. So if I want to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 colors, I can use this whole area over here and make 9 different colors of paint. If you don't have an egg carton, you can make them in bowls. You could make them in little yogurt containers, anything you have. So I'm going to take my mixture and I'm going to pour it into some little cups. So let's try it out now. Got my mixture. I'm going to pour, oh, there's a little bit of dirt in that one, so I'm going to use this side. Just a recyclable. I'm going to pour it in. Go 1, 2, 3. It could be a little bit more liquidy than this. If you add a bit more water, that's okay too. But there's lots of different kinds of paints, so it doesn't really matter. I'm going to make 6 right now. All right. Uh-oh, a little bit of spill. Make sure you don't make a mess. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my food coloring. I have the same colors as we used for the Play-Doh. So I have a purpley one, I have green, I have pink, and I have blue. So I'm going to make those colors to start, and then I might mix a couple. I'm going to close my marker so it doesn't run out. All right, put some one. Yeah, let's see if you can see that. 1, 2 blue drops in that one. Let's make the next one purple. All right, so let's go green. It doesn't really look like much now. When I'm mixing it, I'll show you. And let's do this one as pink. Oh, I forgot to get a spoon. I'll be right back so I can mix these. Okay, now I have a spoon, so I'm going to mix it. I'm going to lift it so you can see a bit better, see my different colors. I can't tip it too much or it'll spill. I'm going to mix them and show you. So I'm going to mix my blue. Now, you might want to be careful about mixing the colors with different spoons, but I really don't care right now. So I'm just going to use the same spoon. If you do care and you don't want to mix your colors up, then make sure you use a separate spoon for each. I'm just going to wipe it off because it doesn't matter to me too much. I'm okay with different colors. Now I'm going to mix this one, and it's got a little blue in it, so it might turn out to be bluey purple. Oh, that's a pretty nice purple coming through. I don't know how well you can see that on the screen, but that's okay. All right, I'm going to try and wipe my purple off. Now I'm going to do my green. Mix that in there. Ooh, I like the green. It looks a lot like a lime. Oh, it looks kind of brown on your screen. Doesn't look like that here. The computer, when it takes the video, sometimes the colors can look a bit different. And last, I'm going to mix my reddy pink in. I guess it's red. It's that. And let's see. Let's try and think of 2 more colors to make. One of them, actually, I'll leave white, just in case I want white. And the other one, I'm going to try to make a teal color. So I'm going to use blue. 1 maybe drop of blue. And a couple drops of green. And we'll see what color it makes. This is an experiment. It's like when you're mixing colors for our color wheel. Is everyone's going to turn out the same? No, and that's okay. Oh, I think I added extra green to this one. It just got very green. I'm okay with that. Because I didn't have any exact thing I was going to make anyway. I'll just make it with these colors. See them there? They look great. Now, you might be thinking, Miss Vasvary, I don't have a paintbrush. Guess what? Miss Vasvary doesn't have a paintbrush either. So we are going to become very creative and figure out how to use things in our own home to become a paintbrush. So I'll show you some of the things that I found in my house. If you have a paintbrush, go for it. That's great. You have a paintbrush, may as well use it. Paint with it. You could also use your fingers. So I'm going to get a piece of paper and show you some different techniques. Now, I was a little afraid of getting my nice clipboard all messy, so I wrapped it in newspaper. Make sure that if you're painting at your house, you take care to not make a big mess. If you do think you're going to make a mess, take something like a paper towel or newspaper and put it down so that if you make a mess, it's easy to clean up. You don't want to be making a big mess for your families and have them have to clean it up. So, I've got a paper here, and I'm first going to show you easy peasy finger painting. So I'm going to be painting, I'll paint a heart. So I'm going to put my finger in the red. And just finger paint a heart. Now, this isn't paint that you bought. This is paint you made. So it might not work the same, but if you already have paint at your house, you can just use that. I think I might need to mix it a bit more, so you can learn from my mistakes. Maybe mix it a little bit more, but that's okay. It still looks fun and great. It looks a little bit better on my screen than yours. Let's maybe bring it closer. And if I want to put more on, if I think I don't like the white spaces, I just put some more on. I use some more. Paint, paint, paint. Wow, I think I'm liking it. Oh, look at that. It's turning out lovely. Perfect. Now, I'm just wiping my finger off because I finger painted. Let me get the paint off. What I'm going to try next is I found just a scrap of ribbon in my house. Let's see if it can be a paintbrush. I'm going to try to make a snake. I'm going to use my dark green. I'm going to try to make a snake. So I dipped it. And I'm going to make him a little head. And come down. Wow, look at that. Oops. Not really on the screen. There we go. Look how good just some ribbon I found has worked. It was an old ribbon from a piece of a dress that got ripped off. I don't need it. So make sure that before you get anything painty, you ask your family if it really is just garbage. And you can use things like this. So I have my end of my ribbon wants to go in my paint. Give him a little bit more of a bigger head. And maybe I'll use the other side of my ribbon. I'm going to give him a tongue. I'll dip it in my red. And snake tongues, come out. And they have two forks. They fork at the front, like that. Doesn't my snake look pretty interesting just for a ribbon as my paintbrush? Wonderful. Now I have one other way to show you. I have just a piece of a sponge here. It actually was shaped like a star, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what it's shaped like. I'm going to use the corner of a sponge. So I pushed all the rest of it down. Make sure your family's okay if you're using one of their sponges. Either make sure it's an old sponge or that they don't care about it. But I'm going to take the side of my sponge and I'm going to paint. Maybe I want to paint the sky. So I'm going to dip in my blue. And I want big streaks across my sky. I need more blue. Wow. This one's a thicker sponge, so you can get a wider stroke each time. It looks a little bit brighter on mine than it does on yours. And you can see, oh, that's better. There we go. And another cool thing you can do with sponges is you can stamp them. So like I said, mine is a little star, but you could cut a sponge into any shape, and then you dip the flat part in. So I'm going to take this flat part, I'm going to dip it in maybe I'm going to make a purple starfish. It's got a little blue on it. I don't care. If you care, you can rinse off your sponge in the meantime. I'm going to dip it in my purple. Oh, he's a little bit too big for my egg cup. Get in there, sponge. All right, and let's see if I can stamp. See how my sponge is all covered in paint now? Now I'm going to take it and stamp it on. I think I missed a little corner, but that's okay. Maybe your stamp will turn out better. I could probably fix it by just adding that corner. There we go. Look at my sea star. It's like a starfish from under the sea. They don't like to stay put. They like to wiggle. So all the corners are in a different shape. And that's okay. So I've shown you some different ways to make paint. You have to make paint if you don't have paint. If you can. If you don't have the supplies, don't do this activity, and that's okay. But whether you have paint or not, I would like you to paint, to draw, you could sculpt it out of Play-Doh if you want. You could make anything you want. So it could be a scenery, you could do an animal, somebody's face, whatever you want. But you have to write me 4 sentences explaining what you did and how you did it. So what I could say is, I made paint. I made red, blue, green, purple, light green, and white. I made some interesting shapes and tried out different types of paintbrushes. I liked painting with a sponge best. That's 4 ideas just there about what I painted and how I did it. If you don't have paint at home and you're coloring, you could say, I don't have paint at home, so I'm using pencil crayons. I colored a unicorn because I like unicorns. My unicorn is pink and white and blue. My unicorn's horn was the hardest part to draw. So that's an example of what you could tell me if you drew a unicorn. But really, you could draw anything you want and just write me 4 sentences about what you drew and how you did it, or what you painted and how you did it, what you sculpted out of Play-Doh and how you did it. Whatever you want. It's Fun Friday, so it's your art time. And if you were sad at home because you didn't have any paints, now you know how to make some. Good luck. I hope you enjoy it. And I'm really excited to see what kind of paintings, drawing, or sculptures you make. Here's your recipe. Bye!